chairman is thinking we could use this period for that. But what I was also thinking is, when presentation is not really a lot about putting so many information on the slide. You can actually have one slide. You have 10 minutes. You can speak on that slide. What is important is to understand the question. Now, I'm saying this because I'm also into communication. In fact, the laws or rules of communication is what you cannot say in 1 hour, what you cannot say in 1 minute, you should not say in 1 hour. Because whatever you're communicating is to make sure that the information is out. So we do this. This is really for people who have attended our programs. I'm sure Dr. quite a few people. It's something that we do a lot. And the idea is so that people, it's not really about the presentation. It's just that we know that there are some people who will not talk in a general. They would rather talk in a small group, and 10 minutes is not about. Yes, we do that. If I have to point out from this program that we actually have a space for it to go to the show. So we will just be brief. The reason why I want to talk about this part of forgiveness is look at the program guide. There's actually no session that talks about forgiveness, and it's intentional because we are also learning ourselves as curriculum developers. Nobody has the final say on forgiveness. I used to say forgiveness is a just and unfair command that can solve all problems. Well, in peace building, when you look at all the conflict analysis program, whether it's conflict resolution, transformation, data, forgiveness looks like the last in that line because, and that's, let me quickly talk about the first unit of forgiveness and we'll show it open. I don't know if should we still talk about this? Because when I told you call, nobody said anything.
You didn't say much.
Okay, let me give you a story. This is like sharing stories. A lot of people, when they talk about reconciliation, we like to use South Africa as a role model. And it is true. Of course, the flip side will be that of Nigeria. Most countries that understand the meaning of violence, and I think that in this country, you don't understand the meaning of violence. That's why we don't take reconciliation very seriously. Some people are still dealing with violence of 40 years ago in their country. As a country, we experience violence on a daily basis. And as a matter of fact, we have not solved one. Not even the coup that happened, the first coup that happened in Nigeria has not been solved. So everything is building on the past and it's making it more complex and complicated. Now, I wasn't part of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, but I had the privilege of working with the man that shared the truth and his delivery, both Archbishop Tutu and Professor Keith Merrin. Professor Keith Merrin is still on our board as an organization, and he's somebody that has a lot of experience that they can share. Now, okay, we have military and paramilitary agencies here. If I ask you this question, this is just for clarity. Who is more important? Is it the person that gave the command or the person that delivered the command? If somebody gives a command to go and shoot, who takes the responsibility of the person that is being shot? Is it the shooter or the one that gave the command?
Direction.
No, sorry, this is, I'm not putting everybody on the spot, but those are some of the questions that we later study, from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So most of the people that were caught, that were perpetrators during the apartheid regime, they were brought forward. So a police officer killed a breadwinner, and he has 6 children with a wife. They don't have a job, they don't have good to take care of the family. So the Archbishop will ask, why did you kill this man? The police will say, I was given a command to kill the person. Who gave the command? The person is dead. in military law or police law, how do you jail the person who was just obeying a command? A lawful order in that case, yes, if you look at it in context. Now, remember, as you are explaining this, the victim is already relaxing her pain because of the information. Are you following me? Because the person she's supposed to be angry with is now dead. So they now ask the woman, well, apartheid is now illegal. Maybe there are some areas in the law where we can punish this man. But what do you really want? You don't have money, you don't have a breadwinner. This man has money because he enjoyed during the apartheid regime. Would you rather want him to sponsor your 6 children to school and provide for you, and maybe to show his sympathy, we can ask him to clean your garden once in a month? As the victim, what would you choose? Because if we were to talk about the criminal justice system, I'm surprised the equivalent from the Ministry of Justice is not here. You will hear, if not so, if not say so, you go to jail. So most of the time, what it is taking, it is that part of the restitution, that part of forgiveness, and at the end, it is reconciliation. So, of course, in South Africa now, there's a particular group of people who are now saying, but this is people collected lands. For them to show that they are really sorry, let them give back the lands. That's exactly what Mugabe did in Zimbabwe. They collected the lands, they don't know what to do with the lands. Zimbabwe is now one of the poorest countries in the continent. Of course, everybody, people have written all kinds of theses about it. But I guess, and I think that's what a lot of people are spoken for during the break time, the issue of forgiveness cannot be handled just by the religious sphere. It must be a public, it must be something that must be incorporated into every aspect in every domain of life. Of course, because the originators of peace and forgiveness come from this spiritual dimension, the religious sphere, they will have to give us an overarching idea of what it means, now that helps the different domains. But I believe this is something that needs to be studied everywhere. And everybody has a particular input. This was exactly what was done in South Africa that made them to move, I can say, from point A to point B. It's not that they finish it, but now violence is taken very seriously. To some extent, it's becoming a bit wild. Because after apartheid, death penalty was completely eradicated in South Africa. So if a man kills another man, he will not die. So that has its own flip side. And that's because of the past they are coming from, the view we need to stop killing one another. In fact, I heard that we even kill the right and make human beings. Say that progressing. I want to talk about the first stages of forgiveness in about 5 minutes and then we start the conversation. Forgiveness process can be understood through a model of 4 stages: uncovering, deciding, working, and living, each contributing to a deeper understanding and resolution of the pain. There is a breakdown of each stage. First, before I feel this is open to debate, and another the chairman said this is open, and I'm just going to show something out. I'm sure we all agree that you cannot forget the pain. Because one of the things that go out there is to forgive and forget. It is not in the holy books, and I'm not sure it is in any philosophical material that I've read. Because for you to forgive, you have to remember. If you don't remember, you cannot forgive. Because you only forgive what you remember. The other one is almost killing. back, but that's the only element that I see that we need between pain and forgiveness. Now, the first stage is the acknowledgement of the action. Somebody has done something wrong. We have to acknowledge that something wrong is wrong. If we don't agree that it's wrong, we will not even understand. And that's why this world is very important. The initial stage involves acknowledging and understanding the cause of betrayal. I mean, betrayal for some people is the most painful. Because people find around about a month ago, 2 months ago, where it was doing his girlfriend. And they asked me, I think you get So a lot of people who are cheaters, that is absurd. But for people who don't know what it means to cheat, some may even find a sympathy for the guy. I hope I'm throwing something out here. Somebody who is a serial cheater, say, what's your problem?
Don't be girlfriend.
Don't be girlfriend, are you married? But for somebody who understands what it means to have a vow and commitment, they actually have a sympathy for the guy. Maybe not to the extent of killing, but they understand betrayal. So, in whatever way you look at it, there must be an acknowledgement of betrayal, identifying the specific emotions associated with the experience and potentially facing the difficult feeling. Yeah? The second stage is to know that this thing is to decide whether to accept the pain. Now, if we leave ourselves at that first stage, we can revenge. Now, there's difference between revenge is anger served cold. So, if you stay at that stage and you don't move to the next stage, you will think of retaliation. And retaliation is deadly. You either want to serve the person based on what measure they did something evil against you, or even more. So, for that guy, his own retaliation was Yamutu. So now moving to the second stage is to acknowledge that being human is having pain, emptiness, and ache. It is often accompanied by tears, so you need to cry. So for people who are involved in counseling, mediation, and who are involved in all this, you understand that people will be crying and you say don't cry. You don't tell people not to cry. You are not in their position, you are not in their context. Somebody wants to cry, you say don't cry. Somebody is believing, you say I understand. How do you understand? You can never be in that person's position, even if you have been believed multiple times, you have killed your father, your mother. The new person is dead. You are not in that person's shoes, so you can never understand. So we must always allow people to cry, because that tears, they are all part of the healing process. You make a conscious decision to choose. This is when you start choosing forgiveness, recognizing that it is a deliberate and empowering step rather than a natural passing outcome. So from the first stage to the second stage, there must be that part of I have to forgive in our subconscious. The next stage is the healing stage. Anger and pain are letting the body have its full experience. Healing is about sinning. Now, you now see clearly. If I take the path of all forgiveness and revenge, where is this going to lead me to? Everybody will be there. I mean, if you look at this, we historicize our country, or any fractured society, as a matter of fact. Most of the problems that people are solving is the unforgiveness of people in the past. I don't know if my history is teaching me right, but I believe the Ojukwu and the one are chosen in different parts, cannot be their peace in this country. And some, if you mention it to some experience, they just will tell you the war between two enemies. That the civil war would have been avoided. It could have been avoided. Every war that is happening has been avoided. And people who are peace practitioners and even agents of violence, like the military guys, they know that at the end of every violence, you will still come to the round table and talk. You will still talk. So people, it's just like what the video I showed you about Ukraine. In fact, Ukraine is on its own words because the reconciliation will happen without their knowledge and influence. Like, nobody needs to come past them to reconcile. They will be forced to love Russia. In that case, you now say, what is the point of the war? The women that died, the children that died, the hopelessness. So it's at this point you start to analyze the world. If I go this way, where will it end? And just to buttress my point, I like to share the story. Maybe to be the last one out there. But this one is personal. My mom has given me permission to share the story because it's something that is directly related to her. My grandfather is a cultist. Well, was late now. A cultist, Babalawo, native doctor. But Sha, he used to kill people. Now, when we were growing up, we didn't know why our parents didn't want us to see the man. We knew him at the beginning, and then suddenly it stopped coming. It was discovered that he killed our grandmother, killed some of our siblings for occultic purposes. Now, when I finished college and I entered this social justice movement, it was just like out of curiosity. Where is this old man? He's in the village somewhere, we've not seen each other. But the answer was not very convincing. So I took two of my brothers and said, where is our grandfather? and then my mom started crying. He's a wicked man. I don't want to hear his name. Blah, 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 blah. Interestingly, I went to the village, Akure. Went to look for him. And suppose Big Babalawo was now a security man somewhere. So, because what my mom told me is once you get to the market, just ask. She was so sure everybody knows this person. So, I met with him. In fact, he came to me because I just noticed somebody gave me a very huge tick up from behind and whispered, "Tell your mother to forgive me." So you can see my journey of forgiveness is not today. So, but he was crying, had no connection with his tears. He was crying and held me tight. So when I went back home, I got back home and told my mom, she couldn't believe it. But interestingly, some of the siblings that survived were all successful in different parts of the world. So they all came together and said, let them build a befitting place for this man. Because they made 2 weeks, he died. After moving into the place. My own mind is like, so all the people he killed, did they have the opportunity to forgive? You see, this thing about forgiveness, it has a very strange connections. And I feel like if it becomes part of our subconscious, and we can analyze, it's just like, I don't know if any of you know about conflict analysis. It's just like the way you put your conflict map and you analyze conflict. I think that's the way we all need to daily analyze our worldview before we make wrong decisions. Because we can know everything and still be wrong. I mean, you've gone to school, you can have everything knowing, and you are still wrong. So this point 3 is the point of reality. The stage requires focused effort and action as you actively engage in the process of forgiving, which may involve processing the hurt, reducing resentment, and beginning to rebuild trust and/or boundaries. So the last stage that I want to suggest is the stage of reconciliation, which I also call the deepening stage. Is the final stage which entails consolidating your forgiveness. integrating the experience into the understanding of yourself and your life, and potentially finding a renewed sense of peace and growth. Like Nelson Mandela said, reconciliation eventually is a spiritual thing. You can't force anyone to forgive. In fact, we started this whole discussion around forgiveness. I used to tell you how this thing started, you may not know. Ochogo was just appointed as DG of this place, and then came straight to my office. I think he was coming from the SDS office. And then he asked, what do you think is the first thing that we need to do? I brought my concept note on forgiveness. I brought it on the table. He also just brought something from his bag, and it was on forgiveness. You cannot be a peace practitioner in Nigeria and not understand that there's a huge need for forgiveness where we are. For three reasons: because of what we have done, I mean all of us. Two, because what we have not done. Three, because of what has been done against us. In a way, we are all involved in the crisis of Nigeria, no matter how minute our contribution is, positively or negatively. And in all the peace and conflict resolution strategies, forgiveness seems to be the only way where we can chart a new course. Otherwise, like somebody asked, should Babangida be forgiven? I mean, maybe most of us are not in the context, but for people who are in the context, that apology was just too cheap.
Without loss.
Without plus.
And donations in billions.
That is enough to instigate violence.
Revenge.
And revenge. But again, so there's a top general that is on my board. He was the first person I spoke to, General Shola Williams. And he just laughed. He said, that is past, there's not, because he was there, he was involved, and he was against the whole process. He just said, that is past, there's nothing you can do about the past. But bring us up is not. That's a good question.
Sorry?
Now, because bringing it up is the same thing that I'm talking about. You cannot have, there are some things I try to avoid when I teach this. Now, you cannot have healing.
The act.
When something has not been brought. If you say you did evil and you just say it has passed, that's nothing has happened. Nothing has happened because most people don't want restitution even in a way. They just want an acknowledgement that something bad has been done against them. And depending on who gave the acknowledgement. But to be fair to Babangida, they actually acknowledged and took responsibility. That may be enough for some people. He believed that he was right when he knew he was wrong. It's painful. So, if these practitioners were consulted when that was, and I'm sure he must have consulted a lot of people because he's a very smart person, and he said this is the best way to go. It may have been a better way of handling it, but who knows? But these are just future that you may forgive me, but the scars will still be there. And that is a reminder that I did something bad. You will be very careful to shake me in the future, because this was my perspective and my lifestyle. Very soon you start extending your hand. That means it has completely healed. And trust is renewed. That's why we also talk about trust building. For us in Nigeria, I was invited back in 2014. I was one that organized the Centenary program. At that time, I worked at the SDS office. But that was my introduction into the military. And when Jonathan asked me to develop the concept, if you remember, for some of you recall, it was human security and the healing of memories. That was the theme of the conference. I was just a practitioner who was looking for an avenue to bring Nigeria together, because the Secretariat program really brought Nigerians together and other friends of Nigeria from all over the world. And what we're trying to do at that time, before 3 days to the event, we had an interministerial committee chaired by Bala Mohammed, and suddenly several billions were raised, the content of the program released. So the idea at that time was that we were going to have a conference, and then it will dovetail into regional conferences that will now set up what we call the Healing of Memory Center. It will be a center where the quest for justice is met. Because most of the time, our candidate would have helped us in this country, and maybe even now, it's something we will consider for people who are at that position. Almost every community in Nigeria is volatile with different issues. At the root of that volatility is the quest for justice. Now, agencies like IPCR, NOA, maybe the civil military affairs of the army, especially the police, I think the police needs to be reconstituted. Can be, and the Ministry of Justice can be in that center, where this thing happened. I have stories to share, but I don't know. I think we should just leave this open for people to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that very interesting stories you have shared with us. We pray to let's politically discuss this issue of forgiveness. I have my own personal view about forgiveness, especially when the people involved are not acknowledging the fact that there is something wrong. I don't know who will forgive, and let's pray. I will request for comments. I will request for contributions. I will request for experience sharing too. I know Reverend Father in Capital will be the air profession. Once I said that if you pick somebody and you have shared before the Reverend Father confesses, he has answered it. So, these are practices we want to hear from colleagues' experiences. Thank you. Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor, for the presentation in the morning and the one you just did now. So I want to agree with you that reconciliation, I want to agree with you that reconciliation is one of the critical aspects of the whole process of peace, healing, and often the one that is most neglected and not really characterized. And Chairman made mention of the Borno model in your remarks, and of course we have the Operation Safe Corridor as well. I've always said that for me, in terms of operationalization and implementation, the Operation Safe Corridor is more thorough and rigorous in terms of the operationalization. But in terms of conceptualization, I would say that for the model is something that we can look at and see how we can do a sort of harmonization of the Operation Safe Corridor and the Borno model. And the reason why I am saying this is the fact that the Borno model at the last stage also include the reconciliation. Okay, so which is a missing a gap in the Operation Safe Corridor. Of course, we always talk about the radicalization, rehabilitation, and the reintegration, and the demobilization or disarmament. It is not really that talked about in the Operation Safe Corridor, and thank God from the onset. they are also here. And of course, I mean, it's also one of the, because some of these things are actually linked together. So when you say people have come to radicalization and rehabilitated and we want to bring them back into society, we say the process, people from the same point, they actually decide what is the process. That's so, of course, be about the lack of knowledge and how that will work. But the people that have that kind of fear, you don't blame them. So it's actually the people who are implementing such programs that should go out to actually educate them that these are the processes. So, but talk about reconciliation. I also feel that at the moment, a lot of capacity needs to be built in that area because it's not just any other persons that can actually champion the issue of reconciliation, forgiveness, and justice. In your presentation in the morning, Doctor, there was this example that you gave about the car park that there were people parking, and that when I saw that, and I was linking it to different things in my head and thinking about the work. So, and eventually he told us that, oh man, he told us that about why that I was packed in general. Not because of the fact that you didn't know that it was packed, but the circumstance behind that packing that is scary, So if you now want to link it to the push fact now, and people will tell you that these are the things that actually drive them to terrorism, to violent extremism. So different people have different reasons, for joining terrorism. So in that case, if you are now talking about issue of email reconciliation and you create a platform for people to talk, you realize that everybody has one of the things to say, and everybody is also a victim. So exactly on that basis that you want to say we don't have any. Yes, for those who believe strongly that are probably ideologically driven, that believe in what they are doing and they continue their own so that you can see those ones can, actually face criminal justice system. But those who have come out, and I think that is the purpose of the Open State Corridor, that have come out to say we are tired of this, irrespective of any circumstance that has warranted their coming out, we can come together and say, let us talk. We can't continue like this. We were in somewhere, and one commissioner told us that it is possible for people in Borno State, when we were discussing Borno model, that forgiveness can actually work in Borno compared to other states, compared to Adamawa and Yobe, because virtually everybody is affected. That's so that the conflict will get to a particular stage where you say, what do we do? We just have to forgive. But those who are leading that forgiveness need to build serious capacity in terms of the engagement, even to our religious leaders, both the Muslim and the Christian. They need that serious capacity to actually use the holy books to say, no, we just have to forgive one another. So I think it's a priority area that I think we need to advance beyond this conversation.
Thank you so much, for putting on the need for capacity. We cannot deliver what you don't have. Right? So the need for capacity in the area of reconciliation is very critical. From the institutes here, as early as 2015, we hit a paper in the institute here a day after the program. Right? We hit that the day that this whole thing will end. Where do we go from there? And we said already began, we are here to that. At the point, those in Sambisa forests, those hiding in all the forests and those in my village will come out. And they will take me at night. And victims will be there where they go from there. So we need to start thinking around the issue of capacitating the communities, the faith-based organizations, even the law enforcement. I'm so happy and delighted that we have a lot of them participating in this kind of programs. There's no more fight. We are one people, we are the same people. So capacity is very critical when it comes to the issue of reconciliation. Thank you.
So just to add that there is actually something in the pipeline for people who are interested. The NSA's office, because it's something that I'm working out with them. It's a DDR course. Major Opala will be here also to talk a little bit about DDR. He was a camp commandant in Sierra Leone and Liberia, so he has a lot of experience to share. But our concept to the NSA's office is most of our DDR experts in Nigeria got their knowledge from different parts of the world, either from Kofi Annan, from the Institute in Sweden. You know, we don't have a context-specific DDR program. And it became worse in the last dispensation where governors were just giving amnesty, you know, regardless of, and most of the people they gave amnesty came back to drive them away from their office. That we need to multiply experts. That was the whole idea, and that is what I think my brother is saying, that we need to multiply experts. Just imagine in every state, if you have even as low as 100 DDR experts, you will know how to advise your political, you know, friends, you know, on when to give, how to give, and how to manage, and how to, succeed. So that is going to happen in the second quarter. It's actually, I'm the one that is delaying because we've not had that opportunity to be in partnership with the IPCR and also the Office of the National Security Advisor. The other one is, when you were talking about how complex, this is just an example, and General Shafa, you know, was the coordinator of Operation Safe Corridor, and he did tremendously well. The first time we invited him to speak about this at the Army Resource Center, this is just to validate what you talk about, because I know a lot of people, even within the military, they are not in support of Operation Safe Corridor. I mean, I can say this boldly because the people that are not in support are not afraid of saying they are not in support. And they have reasons to believe that it should not happen now. Because most of the time, that's the reason why I said people get the idea of DDR from different sources. It's because the war has not ended. So they believe, what DDR are you doing? Anybody that is killing us now is an enemy of the state. We should just jam it to the person. And it makes it easier. In fact, if I'm to go a little further, because we do a lot of training with the Nigerian police, their own is worse. We have two guys here from the Navy. Okay. Yes, if you can, because this is a bit complex. Just put it off.